Jerry Rice, the untouchable king of receiving yards. Jerry Rice's career receiving record of 22,895 yards is a statistical monument that towers over the landscape of the NFL. To understand its sheer scale, one must look beyond the number itself and into the context of the eras he dominated. Over a 20-season career, primarily with the San Francisco 49ers, Rice didn't just set the bar, he launched it into a different stratosphere. The closest player to him in history is Larry Fitzgerald, who retired more than 5,400 yards behind him. That gap alone would be a Hall of Fame career for many receivers. For a current player to even approach this record, they would need to average 1,500 receiving yards for 15 consecutive seasons, a feat of sustained excellence and durability that is simply unheard of in the modern, physically demanding game. The league's increased emphasis on player safety is, ironically, a factor that makes this record safer. While rules protect receivers more, the sheer violence of the game means careers are often shorter and players are rotated more frequently. The idea of a single receiver remaining the undisputed primary target, avoiding major injury, and maintaining elite production for 2 decades is a football fantasy. Rice's record was built on a unique combination of legendary work ethic, longevity, and playing in a revolutionary West Coast offense that became the league's standard. He played in an era before the full impact of the salary cap, which now promotes parity and makes it harder for dynasties, like the 49ers of the 80s and 90s, to keep a core of superstars together for extended periods. Modern offenses are also designed to spread the ball around to multiple playmakers, making it statistically improbable for one receiver to command the target share necessary to challenge Rice's total. His record is not just a number, it is a testament to a singular career that can likely never be replicated. Emmitt Smith, the endurance king of rushing yards. Emmitt Smith's 18,355 career rushing yards represent a monument to durability and consistency. Over 15 seasons, 13 with the Dallas Cowboys, Smith was the engine of a dynasty, carrying the ball a staggering 4,409 times. This workload is the key to understanding why his record is unbreakable. In today's NFL, the concept of a workhorse running back who handles over 300 carries season after season is a relic of a bygone era. The league has shifted to a running back by committee approach, where teams utilize multiple backs with specialized skill sets to preserve their health and create matchup problems. The average career of an NFL running back is notoriously short, often less than 3 years, due to the brutal physical toll of the position. For a player to have 11 consecutive seasons with over 1,000 rushing yards, as Smith did, is a feat of endurance that defies modern sports science and roster management. The closest active player is Derrick Henry, who is still more than 9,000 yards behind Smith, a full Hall of Fame career's worth of production. For a new player to break this record, they would need to average 1,500 rushing yards per season for over 12 years, all while shouldering a carry count that no modern coach or general manager would ever sanction. The game has evolved with an emphasis on the passing attack and preserving player health, making Smith's record a product of a specific time and a specific philosophy of football that no longer exists. The sheer volume of carries required to approach his mark is something the league will likely never see again from a single player. Brett Favre, the Iron Man of consecutive starts. Brett Favre's record of 297 consecutive regular season starts for a quarterback is a testament to a level of toughness and resilience that borders on the superhuman. From 1992 to 2010, Favre never missed a start, playing through a catalog of injuries that would have sidelined most players for weeks, if not months. He played with a separated shoulder, a broken thumb, severe ankle sprains, and numerous other ailments, embodying the gunslinger mentality in its purest form. To put this record in perspective, the next closest quarterback is Philip Rivers at 240 starts, a gap of nearly 4 full seasons. In the modern NFL, this record has become even more untouchable due to a fundamental shift in how teams and players approach injuries. The league's concussion protocol alone, a critical and necessary advancement in player safety, makes it highly unlikely a quarterback could play through the types of hits Favre endured without being forced to sit out. Coaches and front offices are now far more cautious with their franchise quarterbacks, understanding that the long-term health of their most valuable asset is paramount. The financial investment in quarterbacks is so immense that risking a catastrophic injury by playing through a serious ailment is a gamble most teams are unwilling to take. Favre's streak was a product of his own unique stubbornness and a different era of medical evaluation and player management. For another quarterback to challenge this record, they would need an unprecedented combination of luck, genetic durability, and a willingness to play through pain that runs contrary to all modern medical and organizational wisdom. The 1972 Miami Dolphins, the unblemished perfection of a perfect season. The 1972 Miami Dolphins' 17-0 record, culminating in a Super Bowl VII victory, is the only perfect, undefeated, and untied season in the history of the National Football League. This achievement has become more legendary with each passing year, as every new season demonstrates just how improbable it is. The modern NFL is built on a foundation of parity, enforced by the salary cap, free agency, and a draft system designed to elevate struggling teams. The idea of a single team navigating a 17-game regular season and a 3-game playoff gauntlet without a single loss is statistically infinitesimal. The physical and mental toll of a full season is immense, and a single bad bounce, a key injury, or an off day can derail a perfect run. The 2007 New England Patriots came the closest, going 18-0 before losing in the Super Bowl, a loss that only reinforced the magnitude of the Dolphins' accomplishment. The media scrutiny and pressure on an undefeated team in the modern 24/7 news cycle is also a factor that the '72 Dolphins did not have to contend with to the same degree. Every week would be a Super Bowl for their opponent, with the added motivation of being the team to end the streak. While the Dolphins' schedule in 1972 was not the most difficult, the feat of winning every single game regardless of opponent remains a singular achievement in professional sports. It required a level of focus, discipline, and luck that is nearly impossible to replicate in the modern, hyper-competitive landscape of the NFL. Paul Krause, the Ball Hawks' unmatched interception. Total: Paul Krause's record of 81 career interceptions, set over a 16-year career from 1964 to 1979, is a product of a different era of football. In the pass-happy NFL of today, it seems counterintuitive that a defensive record like this would be unbreakable, but the nature of the passing game has changed dramatically. Krause played in an era where quarterbacks were less accurate, took more downfield risks, and the rules governing pass interference were less restrictive for defenders. This created more opportunities for interceptions. Modern quarterbacks are trained to prioritize ball security above all else, with offensive schemes built around high-percentage, short to intermediate throws that minimize the risk of turnovers. The emphasis on avoiding interceptions is so strong that a quarterback who consistently throws a high number of them will not remain a starter for long. Furthermore, the longevity required to approach Krause's record is a significant barrier. A player would need to average 5 interceptions a season for over 16 years to get close. In the modern NFL, defensive backs who are elite ball hawks often don't see many passes thrown their way, as quarterbacks actively avoid them. The closest active player is still dozens of interceptions away, with no realistic path to the record. Krause's total is a reflection of his incredible instincts and a bygone era of aerial football, making it one of the safest records in the book. Derrick Thomas, the unblockable force of 7 sacks in a game. Derrick Thomas's 7-sack performance against the Seattle Seahawks on November 11, 1990, is a single-game record that highlights a moment of individual dominance so profound it has never been replicated. On that day, Thomas, a Kansas City Chiefs linebacker, was an unstoppable force, repeatedly beating his blockers and terrorizing quarterback Dave Krieg. The reason this record is so secure lies in the evolution of offensive line play and pass protection schemes. In the modern NFL, offenses are far more sophisticated in their ability to identify and neutralize elite pass rushers. Teams use a variety of techniques, including double teams, chip blocks from running backs and tight ends, and quick passes to prevent a single defender from taking over a game. For a player to get 7 sacks today, it would require a complete and total breakdown of an opponent's entire protection scheme for a full 60 minutes, something that is virtually unheard of at the professional level. The closest any player has come in recent years is 6 sacks, and even those performances are exceedingly rare. Thomas's record was set against a backdrop of more traditional one-on-one matchups. While he was an exceptional talent, the strategic adjustments that are now standard in the NFL make it nearly impossible for another player to have the same level of sustained, unmitigated success in a single game. It would take a perfect storm of an elite pass rusher facing a catastrophically bad offensive line and a coaching staff that fails to make any adjustments, a scenario that is almost unimaginable in today's league. Devin Hester, the return game revolutionary. Devin Hester's 20 career return touchdowns, 14 on punts, 5 on kickoffs, and 1 on a missed field goal, fundamentally changed the way teams approached special teams. He was so dangerous that the phrase, "kicking to Hester," became a dilemma for every opposing coach. This record is unbreakable for a simple reason. The NFL has systematically legislated the return game into a state of near obsolescence. In the name of player safety, kickoffs have been moved up and touchback rules have been altered, dramatically reducing the number of kick returns. In 2007, Hester's peak season, there were over 2,500 kickoffs returned league-wide. In recent seasons, that number has often been less than 1,000. This means a modern returner has less than half the opportunities that Hester had. The same is true for punt returns, where rules protecting the returner and strategic decisions to fair catch or kick the ball out of bounds have also diminished the number of returnable punts. Hester was a unique talent, a player with a combination of speed, vision, and daring that made him a threat to score every time he touched the ball. But his record is also a product of an era where the return game was a more significant and dangerous part of football. The league's priorities have shifted, and with them, the opportunity for any player to challenge Hester's mark has vanished. He wasn't just the greatest returner of all time, he was the last of a dying breed. Don Hutson, the scoring frenzy of 29 points in a quarter. On October 7, 1945, Green Bay Packers and Don Hutson scored 29 points in a single quarter, a feat of individual scoring that is one of the most unique and unbreakable records in NFL history. In the second quarter of a game against the Detroit Lions, Hutson caught 4 touchdown passes and kicked 5 extra points. This record is a product of a completely different era of football. Hutson was a revolutionary player, credited with inventing modern pass routes, but he also played in a time when specialization was not the norm. The fact that he was both the team's primary receiving threat and its kicker is something that would never happen in the modern NFL. The level of talent and specialization on rosters today means that a player would never be in a position to score in both of these ways. Beyond that, for a single receiver to score 4 touchdowns in one quarter would require a level of defensive ineptitude and offensive targeting that is almost impossible to imagine. Modern defenses are too complex and offenses are too balanced to allow one player to dominate so completely in such a short period. Hutson's record is a statistical anomaly from a time when football was a different game, played by men who filled multiple roles. It's a snapshot of a bygone era, and for that reason, it will remain forever etched in the record books, untouched and unchallenged. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the historic futility of a 26-game losing streak. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers' 26-game losing streak, which spanned their inaugural 1976 season and the first 12 games of the 1977 season, is a record in failure that is unlikely to ever be broken. This streak is a relic of the pre-salary cap era, a time when expansion teams were given far fewer resources to build a competitive roster. The 1976 expansion draft was notoriously thin, and the Buccaneers were essentially a collection of cast-offs and journeymen. In the modern NFL, the combination of the salary cap, free agency, and a generous expansion draft process ensures that new teams are competitive almost immediately. The Houston Texans, the last true expansion team, won 4 games in their first season. The idea of a team going 0-14 and then 0-12 in back-to-back years is unthinkable in an era defined by parity. The The league's economic structure is designed to prevent such prolonged periods of ineptitude. A team that is struggling so profoundly would receive the top pick in the draft, have ample salary cap space to sign free agents, and would likely undergo a complete coaching and front office overhaul long before they approached a 26-game losing streak. The Buccaneers' streak, immortalized by the witty and long-suffering coach John McKay, is a historical artifact from a time when the gap between the best and worst teams in the league was a chasm. Today, that gap is a crack, making this record of futility a safe one. George Blanda, the four-decade man. George Blanda's 26-season career, which spanned 4 decades from 1949 to 1975, is a record of longevity that is simply impossible in the modern game. Blanda played as both a quarterback and a kicker, a dual role that allowed him to extend his career long after his skills as a quarterback had diminished. He retired at the age of 48, an age that is unheard of for any position player in the NFL today. The physical demands of the modern game, the speed and violence on the field, make it impossible for a player to endure for that long. Even the most durable players like Tom Brady, who pushed the boundaries of longevity, retired after 23 seasons. Blanda's ability to contribute as a kicker was the key to his extended career, but even that path is closed now. The level of specialization in the NFL is so absolute that a team would never carry a player who was only a part-time kicker and a third-string quarterback. Rosters are too valuable and the skill level required for each position is too high. Blanda's career is a unique story from a different time in the league's history, a time of smaller rosters and more versatile players. His record of 26 seasons is a number that will stand forever as a testament to a career that can never be replicated. Jim Hardy, the nightmare of 8 interceptions in a game. On September 24, 1950, Chicago Cardinals quarterback Jim Hardy threw 8 interceptions in a single game against the Philadelphia Eagles. This record for quarterback futility is so extreme that it has become unbreakable by the sheer evolution of the game. In the modern NFL, a quarterback who threw 4 or 5 interceptions in a game would almost certainly be benched by their coach long before they had a chance to throw a 6th, 7th, or 8th. The value of ball security is so high, and the position of quarterback is so important that no coach would leave a player on the field to endure that level of failure. Hardy's performance was a product of a different time, an era where the forward pass was still a developing and often risky part of the game, and where the concept of pulling a struggling quarterback was less common. The irony of Hardy's day is that the following week he threw 6 touchdown passes, showcasing the wild swings of fortune in the early days of the league. Today, with sophisticated defensive schemes designed to confuse quarterbacks and a ruthless focus on efficiency and mistake-free football, a performance as disastrous as Hardy's is simply not possible. The mercy of the bench would intervene long before history could be made. Tom Brady, the playoff conqueror. While many of Tom Brady's records could be debated as potentially breakable, his collection of playoff achievements, when viewed as a whole, creates an unbreakable monument to postseason dominance. Brady's 35 career playoff wins are more than the next 2 quarterbacks on the list combined. He has more playoff wins than 28 NFL franchises have in their entire history. To put this in perspective, a quarterback would need to win the Super Bowl every year for 7 consecutive years, and then win 2 more playoffs games just to match Brady's win total. This level of sustained success in the single-elimination pressure cooker of the NFL playoffs is staggering. His records for playoff passing yards, 13,400, and playoff touchdown passes, 88, are so far ahead of the next closest players that they seem like typos. Patrick Mahomes, the most likely challenger, would need to replicate his own incredible playoff success for more than another decade just to get into the same statistical neighborhood. Brady's playoff records are not just about his own talent and longevity. They are a testament to his ability to consistently lead teams through the most difficult part of the season. This combination of individual excellence and team success, repeated over 2 decades, has created a resume of postseason achievement that is, in its totality, the most unbreakable record of them all.